So this gal posted pieces of her blood work, not all of it. She did say that she would post the rest of it later in pieces, but she's asking for advice because she's been having some issues since 2019 and she'd like some help. So let's go through what she posted because she didn't make it so I could do it or stitch this. I'm going to try and go back and find the post and tag her. The LDH at 427, that's a liver enzyme. They're measuring to see lactate dehydrogenase is what they're measuring. It's an indication that your liver is backed up. Your liver needs a lot of support, a lot of help. It's also that high, an indication that you have an autoimmune disorder. That autoimmune disorder you could already know, like if you have type 2 diabetes, it could be that. It says the IgE is high. Obviously, her system is not recognizing things as like good or bad. It's just recognizing that it needs to attack something. It could also be parasitic, but most likely autoimmune disorder. BUN is high. BUN is an indication when it's high that you are having issues with kidneys. Liver detoxification being blocked usually results in kidney detoxification being blocked. So it's kind of something we expect to see when the LDH is that high. So the next number, B12, also very high. She is not clearing out B vitamins. So she's getting them from her food and or a supplement, and her body can't clear them because she's probably a methyl trapper, and that needs some support. Her ALT at 401, AST at 204. Again, liver enzymes. The liver is struggling like crazy. Needs some serious support. This is also an indication of an autoimmune disorder. Low prolactin and estrogen. So we've got some hormonal imbalance. That's not a surprise given that the liver needs serious support and the liver is responsible for those hormones. So not a huge shock there. And then we've got that cholesterol at 349. We don't know anything else about the cholesterol, but again, the liver is struggling. So the liver produces 80% of the cholesterol in your body. The other thing that could be happening though is with all this other stuff, there's so much inflammation in the system that the body is overproducing cholesterol so that it can increase the myelin sheath on each nerve in order to protect the nerves against the rest of this inflammation so that they don't end up getting damaged. So she doesn't end up with something like peripheral neuropathy or brain fog or Alzheimer's or dementia. And it would also hopefully then lower her risk of like a traumatic brain injury or a concussion if she were to slip and fall or get in a car accident. This here, the eosinophils being high, again, we're talking maybe some parasites, definitely a food allergy, but with how inflamed this whole system is, my guess is the eosinophils would correct themselves if we got everything else under control. And I would absolutely 100% start with a liver detox because I have seen that change the LDH. I've seen it change the IgE because 40% of your immune system is housed in your liver, believe it or not. I've seen it change the BUN. I've seen it change the ALT, AST, and I've seen it change the thyroid. I've also seen it change the cholesterol, and I've seen it change the eosinophil. Bottom line, if she hasn't been diagnosed yet, she has an autoimmune disorder on the rise and needs to be head off at the pass. And one of the best ways to do that is to support the liver, detox it out, and then also make sure that we're supporting pathways of detoxification. Me personally, with all this going on, I would also run genetics on her and look and see what her propensity to carry extra inflammation is so that we know how to tell her how to live in her environment. If I were considering supplements other than just a liver detox, meds are going to make all of this worse for the most part. They're going to hide a symptom while not managing the problem. I would avoid any new medications and I would try and get as many as we could down because they're going to put more stress on the liver and it's already under stress. So if you're like, well, what supplements would you give her today? The only thing that I would probably add for her, because it might maybe a little bit on and off chance help clear some of that B12 out, would be that I would maybe supplement her with a high dose of glutathione for 15 days and then call that quits. Um, The other thing I would say is she probably has other markers that are not in good range, but they're definitely not in optimal range, and she doesn't know that because the lab values that are given to you are the ones that are the quote average of the average American going in to get lab work. The average American, 97% of Americans are metabolically unstable, which means that you're getting compared to everyone who's getting an A through a D on the exam. And if you're outside of that range, you're failing. And we want to get you into the A range. If you're interested in learning more about getting yourself into the A range so that you can get rid of your symptoms and make your blood work look pretty and actually have it be normal and better than normal, there's a link where you can reach out. We can book a consultation.